Absolutely. Yes, it was necessary. So I've actually been in therapy since 2017, which is my third year teaching. But I graduated. I mean, you don't really graduate from therapy, but I got to the point where I just needed to go to therapy for checkups. Like you go to the doctor for checkups. Um, and then when I started my PhD, I decided I need to go to therapy again because academia is a different beast. So getting therapy for this, it really wasn't a difficult decision because I realized I'm dealing with something difficult. Because, like I've said before, when you are diagnosed, they pretty much just hand you some medications and tell you, hope you don't go blind, hope you figure it out, see you in 3 months. So, as I said, I started therapy 2017, and that's a therapist that I have been with. But my friend Tiffany suggested that I look and see if I could get a chronic illness therapist and see if that was covered by my insurance. And unfortunately, it was not. So, how I went through all of that was, I just logged on to like my insurance portal to see one if there was someone in network, but trying to figure out what was covered. And there weren't any therapists who specialized in chronic illness that were covered under my insurance. But because I'm a student, I have access to a few different resources at my school. So my next step was then looking at what the resources were at school. So there weren't necessarily therapists or counselors for managing chronic illness, but there were resources for how to help manage chronic illness in school. So that was actually what I tapped into, and it was like student support or something, and that has been helpful in getting accommodations and also managing kind of everything else and navigating. And they have been helpful in helping me access different resources and setting me up with, I can't think of the word, brain fog, getting me set up with covered virtual therapy if necessary. Once I'm off of the school insurance for medical, whatever, that's not important. Anyway, so I would definitely suggest that for anyone who has IIH, get yourself into some therapy. If you can, look into if you are still working, see if your job has it under your EAP program, see who's in network under your insurance. If you can't find anyone under that, if you can find a licensed therapist, find one. I went back to my original therapist because I pay her on a sliding scale. So part of what I knew that I needed to process was they do just hand you these medications. So the first medication they gave me was Diamox. And so I get home, I read the label for Diamox, and it tells you that it causes depression and some other dark thoughts. It's got a black box warning. And so when I read that, that was when I said, I need to start therapy. And I needed to start it yesterday because I wanted to make sure that I could differentiate between my own mental health and the medication mental health side effects, right? I only took the Diamox for 3 weeks because I told the doctor I was going to be allergic to it because I have a sulfa allergy listed in my chart, and he said, go ahead and take it. Even though I said, hey, if you have a sulfa allergy, you probably shouldn't take it. He said, most people don't have a reaction. And I'm like, hey, I'm not most people. I'll probably react. 3 weeks later, you need to put me on a new med. Anyway, so then he switched me to Topiramate. Topiramate also has a black box warning, which says might cause you to be depressed, might cause you to want to take yourself through the self checkout. So I knew I needed to be in therapy to help manage that, but also to manage the emotional load of having this disorder. So when I was diagnosed, I was already feeling pretty bad. I had just gotten a breast reduction, so I was feeling great from the breast reduction, but I had developed a migraine that did not go away. Excuse me. And that migraine it persisted for probably about off and on for 6 weeks. And so I knew things were kind of off and I just wasn't feeling like myself. And then I get diagnosed with this and everything changes. And then all of a sudden I go to the eye doctor and they tell you, hey, you need to rush to the doctor, and all of these things happen. And it's a very overwhelming feeling of, hey, you probably have pseudotumor cerebri, which is the old name for this, and your life is going to flip upside down. Also, by the way, if you're taking these medications and you want to have a child, stop, because you can't have a child on this. So it's just like life is upside down. I was thinking, what am I going to do about school? Because these medications just made me feel just very off. So it's the side effects from the condition, the side effects from the meds. Then all of a sudden I'm having bad vertigo. I can't drive. I'm housebound. Things just aren't going right. So needing therapy to process all of this, but also realizing this is a brain condition. There is something actively happening to our brains. We are taking medication that is messing with our brains. So, needing therapy to process what is going on and needing therapy to process that things aren't the same right now. And like life does not look the way I thought it was going to look. It just, everything is different. And not just is everything different, but the fact that life goes on. Um, Life goes on for other people. I am having this very unique experience that is unique to me. And I mean, it's also unique to everyone else that suffers from this. But I am the only one that is living this. And unfortunately, life does go on, and I have other responsibilities. And trying to find a way to manage the feelings that come with life going on around me when I can't handle things. And when I mean by handle things, I mean like I can no longer socialize in the way that I used to. Having to miss certain things like missing weddings, missing funerals, not being able to travel, not being able to do things, the expectation of, or the weight of expectation of feeling like you're letting people down. Um, I'm an overachiever as an academic. I was applying to all of these different conferences and not being able to go to them. So being able to deal with that, having to manage, not wanting to put all of the emotional load on my husband and on my close friends and family, and trying to put some of that on a therapist instead, so that, not saying that I didn't want to burden them, but also, making sure that I'm kind of spreading it out, because this is a lot. But also kind of trying to figure out, how are we going to deal with the ebbs and flows, and how can I deal with this in the most healthy way, and to keep myself at an emotionally steady pace, not pace, an emotionally steady place, because this condition every day is different. I wake up in pain every day, and I wonder every day, like, what could I have done differently? And the answer is nothing. This came out of nowhere, and my life changed out of nowhere, and it's not my fault. Shit happens. And having a therapist to help process all of this is what has helped to really keep me in a place, and to help keep the darkness from getting in. Because this can definitely be a very lonely place, because you're sick and you're in bed a lot of the time, and so you can spend a lot of time with your thoughts. Luckily, I've got a lot of friends and family that they try to keep my spirits lifted, but definitely using therapy, and also sometimes staying out of the support groups where other people are not having the best time, but relying on a therapist to help process everything, and help process that this is, hopefully this is only a blip in the sea of life. So I would definitely suggest that anyone who has this, please get some therapy if you can. Free and no costs, or low cost therapy if you can, to help process everything that's happening to us, because this shit is a lot.